Hi, I'm Mark Beaumont, and I've cycled around the world a couple of times. What have you done?
Yeah, I'm Hank from Global Cycling Network, and I've done a few mad challenges with Mark, with a whole load in the future. I'm quite looking forward to getting stuck into some future big challenges.
So Mr. James Lowsley-Williams, Hank Meister here, is from an ex-pro, certainly knows a thing or two about bike racing, whereas I come from the wild man adventure side of the spectrum, but we've teamed up over the last couple of years for some amazing adventures. We've benefited massively from having Pav Brian putting together our training programs. This year taking on some epic length of Britain challenges, record attempts, and we've both got pretty busy work-life schedules. So even though we know a thing or two about riding a bike, it's been hugely helpful to have that accountability and structure. I don't know what you feel.
Yeah, so I came from a pro background where I had a whole team looking after everything I was doing, from massage to physio and also to my training. But then I came into a 9-to-5 job and I was struggling to fit in the 9-to-5, keeping my head in the game and keeping motivated, but also training for some, crazy attempts like the longest descent or the length of Britain or riding a medieval bike across France. All these things that you've got to be fit for. I was trying to fit training around, and Pav's massively helped to not only keep me accountable for my training and making sure I'm doing as much training as humanly possible to put me in the best shape, but also giving me that mental, giving me that positive energy that is going to be helping me to know that I can do what we set out to, and that is some pretty crazy challenges.
It's interesting because Hank's had more structure around his training in the past in terms of that entire professional setup, whereas I've more been self-coached, not had a huge amount of input apart from on logistics people. So on the performance side, I always worried that a coach relationship would be like a teacher-pupil, and I would feel like a kid that hadn't done his homework. So what I've really sort of appreciated with working with Pav is that you're on the same level, you can chat through the challenges, you can adjust the plan. There's more ways than you might think to get the outcomes you want. I think the risk, especially with athletes like Hank and myself, is if you're time poor, you just smash it. Every time you've got a spare hour or two, you hit the turbo and you hit it hard. So all your training is 10 out of 10. And that doesn't actually set you up for success, especially when it comes to ultra endurance challenges. But if you're thinking of like doing a Gran Fondo or a coast to coast or something which takes a bit more of an endurance engine, you can't just be smashing it every time. So training smart is different from, undoubtedly Hank and I have got strong legs and we know how to ride a bike, but it sometimes takes somebody else to chat through. Actually do a fasted session, 2 hours in the morning, where you're just sitting at 120 watts. I would never set that for myself because I would feel that was wasted time. So the structure, Pav typically sets up a 3-week build, 1-week recovery, and he's just got that sort of overview where you're like, oh, well, if I need to hit a target in 3-4 months time, this is what it takes to build up to it, as opposed to, oh, it's 6 o'clock in the evening, I've not done my turbo session, getting on and going max effort.
Yeah, and a coach there, and a Pav is there not only to push you to do your training, but also to hold you back. The biggest thing is overtraining, and if you overtrain, you can't get the benefits of the training you're actually doing. So best thing to do is to really trust in your coach, and you can trust in him that he's going to set the best thing for you as an individual, whether that's losing weight or whether that's taking on a massive challenge. And if you trust your coach, you're kind of halfway there, and then it's up to you on the day to put all that training into practice and go and do some crazy goal. But I've got to say, motivation's absolutely key, and there's no one better to motivate you than Pav Brian.
Yeah. It's interesting. We've shared a lot of expeditions over the last 2-3 years, but you look at us and we're such different athletes. I'm 6'3", 90 kilos.
I'm 5 foot nothing, and
like 65 kilos, built like a more traditional roadie pro, and 10 years my junior, and yet we've buddied up for these ridiculous challenges, which on the surface are huge physical tasks, but actually are as much about your nutrition, about the psychology, and I find it, there's a huge amount of trust in partnerships. If you're going out with your buddies and taking on rides and big challenges together, there's a lot about that knowing that each other are putting in the hard miles in training, so when it comes to the event, you've got each other's backs, and you're going to have highs and lows, but ultimately the psychology, the nutritional planning stuff pays off because you know you've put the confidence in the bag by doing the training. So Hank probably had the head start on me in terms of that coach-athlete relationship. I've sort of learned a ton about how that works in the last year, and for me it was just relaxing and trusting somebody else to input the plan. You know, I always was a bit of a control freak and thinking I could do it myself. So in one word, what do you think it's worth having a coach?
For me, it's trust. If you trust your coach and you know the training he's setting is for your benefit, then you are going to do, and you're going to actually surprise yourself in what you can achieve. And I would say, whatever challenge you're going into, whether that's fat burning or whether that's taking on Gran Fondo, whether that's doing a big challenge, go out and enjoy it. And that's the ultimate. Like, riding bikes is really, really good fun, and Power Pride's going to make it even more fun because you're going to be fitter and you're going to achieve more, and you are going to, you know, get these goals.
For sure. Onwards and upwards.
Exactly. Good luck.